about to tell y'all a story, okay? Once upon a time, there were a group of black people that went out and bought tickets to a show. Folks were saying that this was going to be the greatest show on earth. Well, when the group of black folk got there, what they found was a ventriloquist on stage with a dummy. Jokes were being told, people were laughing, having a good time. All of a sudden, one of the black guys in the group said he heard the dummy say, "Negroes do silly shit." All of them black folks got mad. They ripped out the seat. They stormed the stage. They burned the dummy to a crisp. Well, that next day, the ventriloquist went to the store and bought another dummy. What happens when it's an actual, factual, living, breathing person who's the ventriloquist and the dummy? Y'all, I'm talking about these pimp politicians and their political prostitutes. Just as soon as the political prostitute is unable to perform the words of his political master, the pimp politician go right on out and buy another dummy. So, to you political prostitutes, yeah, I'm talking about you. You black, step and fetch it. Yes, sir, boss. Chicken pecking. Negro political prostitutes that are out here using your blackness to get other black folk to go out and vote for these individuals that don't mean us no earthly good. And you know it. You look like clowns to us. Straight up clowns. Go back and tell your master, cut the goddamn jack.
Black Republican members in the new term. What do you make of that?
Nothing. I don't understand how that's relevant. I'm not here because I'm black. I am here because I'm qualified representative for Congressional District 38, and the American people choose who they want to choose. Yeah. And the one thing I don't want to get into is this game of race bait all day, every day. If there's 4, if there's 10, if there's none, we are talking about is who is the best person that is best qualified to fill a seat, regardless of the way that they look. And I tell people this all the time till I am blue in the face. I represent a white majority district that President Trump would have won by over 20 points, and I won by 25 points the last time I ran. I'm being judged not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. I don't care how many black people are here. I want the most qualified people that are here.
But there won't be any black Republican members in the new term. What do you make of that?
After the 1890s was Jim Clyburn. And now the Supreme Court is saying you can take away that district so you may not have any black member.
And right now the left is trying to hammer us because they're saying that there's not going to be any black people that's going to represent the Republican Party in Congress next year. But what they also fail to realize is that, Kaylee, I had about 10 people that were in my Republican primary, and 9 of them were white, and I was the only black guy. And of course I won without a runoff. Why is that? Because people are choosing the best candidate. We have come a very long way. And as someone like me, who's a direct descendant of a slave, who again is living the American dream, because the people are not judging me based on the color of my skin, but the content of my character, is exactly what our law should reflect. And I give kudos to the Supreme Court for making the right decision.
The first black member after the 1890s was Jim Clyburn.
In the book, the MAGA Republicans and their supporters who want to make America great again want to be remaking it in the image of the antebellum era. I just want to be clear. Are you saying you think they want to reinstate slavery?
No. They wish to get us back as close to slavery as they can possibly get us to without violated because the Constitution they can't do it.
Uh-huh.
Jim Crow?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So you think they would reinstitute Jim Crow?
Absolutely. And I think the Supreme Court is well on the way to doing that. Remember, all of this started with a Supreme Court decision called Dred Scott. That's what defined and laid the foundation for all of this stuff. And then we got another case called Pleasant versus Ferguson. That's established separate and equal.
Well, and of course, the Supreme Court during Reconstruction overturned the Civil Rights Act.
Yes.
So
the Supreme Court did. Civil Rights Act was overturned by the United States Supreme Court. And what has just happened with the 1965 Voting Rights Act? The first, they're doing it a little more sophisticated, but they're doing that. The Supreme Court is overturning the Voting Rights Act.
To be really clear, your view is the MAGA Republicans are explicitly racist and want to turn the country back towards a time that approaches Jim Crow, if not achieving it.
I don't know that I would call all MAGA Republicans that. I'm very circumspect about using the term. They are racist. I don't put that label on any one person, but I know what the word means. It's sitting there in the dictionary for anybody to understand it. They are white supremacists, and there are people who are supporters of this president who admit to me that they are white supremacists. I've had people who support this president tell me that they thought that slavery was a good thing. And really, for us to deny that this exists, I don't know why we would do that.
You've had people tell you who support this president that they thought slavery was a good thing.
Absolutely. Right to my teeth.
Constituents?
Absolutely. In my congressional district.
What's that like?
Sometimes I keep things to myself.
I'm seeing a lot of talk from my colleagues on the left, too, as we shift toward this reinvigorated talk about Jim Crow and the path to this country. And as someone who is a direct descendant of a slave, as someone whose great-great-grandfather was born on a plantation, I can assure you slavery is over. Jim Crow is dead. When I go anywhere, I don't see any white-only signs. I don't, I promise you. I am a black man that represents a white majority district in Texas. The great-great-grandson of a man born on a plantation stands before you today as a proud conservative Republican from Texas, as a believer and follower in Christ, and as a believer in what this country can be if we allow equality for not just